Is a clone, Emery, basically a human being identical to the clone? And so they eat, they sleep, they do everything that a human does?
No, because they still have to go through the growing process. And so it's a lot of work.
You can't speed that up.
Well, they have sped it up, but there's a problem. They can make a George Norrie in about 8 years from baby to you.
Okay.
The problem is the brain cannot grow that fast as the body can. So all your bodily tissues, such as your bones and muscles and tendons and things like anything made of collagen, can be very rapidly, accelerated with the technologies they have. And the learning, you can learn pretty quickly. But there seems to be a problem they're having with the brains.
What's the agenda? What's the mission here to clone?
I don't know that agenda. I can just give you my opinion on it, that they would use it for a fear type thing, such as a fake alien invasion, definitely control, like a secret army, a secret group of assassins, things like this that, is very frightful. Just to know that they're doing this on a mass production conveyor belt is horrifying enough. And because you have to take care of this being. You have to feed this being. You have to train this being.
It's alive.
It's a real person.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of them have recall, and then the recall messes up with their psyche. But it's still it's not in the early stages, but it's not always successful, I'll say.
What happens to the human soul, Emery, in this kind of situation? Does the clone have a separate soul?
I believe that the clone has a separate soul, a separate personality, but is also linked to its twin, its clone, its other clone.
Okay.
Because it's been shown already that when you take DNA in this glass of water and you put this purified water over here, that it automatically starts to have the DNA in this glass of water, whether you're shooting laser light through it or using sound frequency. So if you're taking any DNA from anyone, it has a hard drive in this DNA that DNA is going to recall some things. That's how we sometimes contract illnesses that our grandmothers and grandfathers have, that it's in the lineage, it's in the DNA. So what's not to say that the programming that the original person had could easily be in the clone and actually have traits of this person. As far as the soul and spirit, that's still a very confusing thing for me to understand. But these clones do have, feelings. They do have emotions. They do have everything a normal person would have. And they have the choice to make a spiritual decision if they wanted to, be a religious person or something like this.
Do they have the memory of the person they've been cloned, or do they also have their own?
They have their own life experience memory, and they have most of them, 80% of them, have some sort of recall of who they were before.
Do they know they're a clone?
Some do. Some figure it out. Some are actually soldiers of cloning, so they actually are raised for certain missions.
I mean, if a clone of Emery Smith came in here right now and looked at you, would that clone think he was you?
He could possibly think that. I've met two in the military, two individuals that I was very shocked to have seen face to face, because it was definitely me. And
you looked at yourself.
Yeah, and it was very interesting, and people noticed this, and it wasn't something that was like deep in the projects. This was on top of working at Kirtland Air Force Base.
Interesting.
That we became kind of friends for a very, very short period of time, and then he disappeared or got relocated. But it was very interesting that people picked up on this and saw the exact similarities. And so there is a possible way that this is happening, but his personality was completely the opposite of mine.